India's highest-ranked company in the Fortune's Global 500 listing and the most valuable and trusted petroleum superbrand. Indian Oil has always been leveraging technology to enhance the quality of its products and processes to maximize value to its customers. Guided by an astute vision of the critical role of research and development in the organizational growth, Indian Oil set up its R&D division over 4 decades ago, true to the spirit of the Make in India movement that we are celebrating today. With over 250 national and international patents to its credit, Indian Oil's R&D center has always been at the forefront of developing cutting-edge technology solutions. As part of another technology-centric initiative, Indian Oil's retail automation project seeks to provide Indian Oil's customers presently at over 8,000 retail outlets, online quality assurance, automated billing, and absolutely transparent fuel transactions, and this network is growing. The operations group of Indian Oil, as the backbone of the company, handles the primary logistics of moving petro products from refineries to operating locations and moves them further as part of secondary logistics to the retail outlets and direct customers. The group operates over 135 petroleum storage locations comprising of terminals and depots that form the central hub of Indian Oil's extensive fuel logistics network. Fed by rail, road, sea and pipelines from refinery points and imports, these operating locations work round the clock to ensure that fuel flows seamlessly across every nook and corner of the country, keeping the nation on the move. Managing these locations is a complex interplay of superior maintenance capabilities, customer support skills, and more critically, the safe handling of millions of kiloliters of volatile fuels that pass through them on their way to end customers. While the functioning of these locations is extremely essential for life to move on during normal times, their role becomes acutely critical in times of crisis, natural disasters and calamities, when they become an inherent part of the process of restoring normalcy despite the constraint in moving fuels to the areas affected. With storage locations in the remotest of border areas and strategic posts, Indian Oil always stands up to the challenge of supporting the valiant services of our defense forces through round-the-clock fueling. The automation of Indian Oil's operating locations began way back in the mid-90s, and currently over 70 locations are covered with basic automation. True to this spirit, during October 2013, Indian Oil's operations group took up the challenge of leveraging technology to achieve unmanned tank lorry filling operations round the clock and embarked upon a series of initiatives to re-engineer the processes to operate with minimal human intervention. That journey has now reached a historical milestone, culminating in India's first ever fully automated smart terminal in Chitoor, Andhra Pradesh. Unmanned TLF and S&D operations in the smart terminal make it the first-of-a-kind achievement in petroleum bulk storage terminals. The smart terminal embodies the transformative power of information technology and is bound to sharpen the core business competencies of Indian Oil, giving it a distinct edge over the competition in terms of improved efficiency, speedier operations, enhanced operational safety, and all at a reduced cost. The smart terminals will enable us to scale up the quality of services to our channel partners and end customers in terms of quicker, hassle-free supplies and transparent functioning. The smart terminal was conceptualized, designed and executed in-house by the operations group, immensely supported by the Corporate Information Systems Group, who developed the SAP processes which were integrated with the terminal automation system, defining the operational format of the smart terminal. In the smart terminal, while the core operations of the location are effectively taken over by a centralized automated control, the human resources are freed up to focus on critical maintenance and safety-related support, aside from qualitatively engaging the customers to serve them better. The control room of the smart terminal is the central nervous system of the location and is wired to all the critical operational areas of the terminal, including the tank farm, TLF, and safety facilities. Over 60 kilometers of cables running along dedicated trenches wrap around the location, carrying the signals, impulses, and data that trigger a host of activities which run the terminal. In this Level 1 automation format, sales orders are auto-generated in SAP based on SMS indenting with built-in feedback to the indenter on acceptance or rejection of the indent. This contrasts with the older practice of the location receiving manual indents at the S&D counter, which were updated in the TT planning register by the S&D officer, and the sales orders were created by manual data entry. TT status on delivery of the previous load gets updated in the SAP based on the acknowledgement of receipt through SMS from the dealers and consumers. Earlier, S&D physically collected acknowledgement copies from the TT crew through the security gate and posted it in SAP. Auto-sharing of updated list of industry-wide blacklisted TTs through a common portal prevents them from being loaded anywhere. Earlier, blacklisted TTs remained isolated from each company, with the possibility of a TT blacklisted by one oil company getting utilized at another oil company. The TT entering the parking area of the smart terminal will be automatically queued in the SAP system through radio frequency ID and proximity card. Entry through zoning specified by vehicle tracking system is to be the norm for future automation. A vehicle display unit in the parking area visually conveys the acceptance of the TT in the queue to the crew. This is against the earlier system of TT utilization based on manual record maintained at the security gate. On presentation of a permanently issued TT-specific proximity card to the card sensor in the security entry gate, TT would be placed in the queue in SAP after ensuring validity of licenses, acknowledgement, blacklisting, suspensions, etc. Earlier, TT queuing in SAP was based on manual acknowledgements submitted by TT crew, who had to be physically informed of discrepancies like expired licenses, previous acknowledgements not updated in system, or blacklisting by OMCs. At this point, the Auto TT planning and scheduling module takes over and matches the TTs available with available loads on predefined parameters, including ownership of TT, immediate last load, RTKM equalization based on TT attendance, minimizing same customer and destination trips, equitable distribution of consumer and retail loads to the best possible extent, and on first in, first out basis. Earlier, the entire planning process was done manually in OP4. The TT planning register was an element of human intervention in TT utilization and system transparency. The indent sequencing logic also prioritizes the execution of orders, starting with the pending indents of the previous day, followed by key consumer indents and priority dealers, and so on, effectively cutting out human intervention and ensuring absolute transparency. Post-planning and scheduling, the module auto-generates shipment instructions, including auto-bay allotment, which is conveyed to the time truck entry system for generating and printing of the filling advice note at the security gate. With this, the permanently issued TT-specific proximity card gets activated for one cycle, and the TT enters the terminal with the filling advice note and proximity card. Earlier, generation and issuance of filling advice note was done manually, leading to delay. Filling advice note is printed with an auto announcement to inform the crew, based on the logic of optimal utilization of filling bays, which allow only 2 TTs per bay at any point of time, one filling and the other waiting. The process eliminates the routine interaction of TT crew with the location staff, which is now only by exception. Against the earlier practice of a large number of crew always thronging around the S&D counter, on the TLF, suitable interlocks and alerts avert mishaps, and the system doesn't warrant any human intervention through the entire process of loading. Previously, manual intervention was required to confirm TT loading completion. Since an alarm triggered in the TLF can only be cleared by the control room and not from the TLF, the need to deploy employees in the bays is limited. Earlier, the alarm had to be cleared by the TLF officer, requiring the presence of officers at the TLF in appropriate numbers. However, a benchmarked number of officers are posted on TLF to ensure compliance to guidelines on physical monitoring of fuel quality and accuracy of delivery equipment as per requirements. The TLF bays are also equipped with online ethanol doping and online additive dosing for the branded fuels. The batch number, density at 15 degrees centigrade, flash point of SKO, and the tank number delivering the product is updated in SAP at regular intervals to be automatically printed on the invoice as required by marketing discipline guidelines. Earlier, all these quality control details were noted manually on all invoices. An interlock between these mandatory quality control details and invoicing is built into the system to ensure that invoices cannot be generated without them. A provision has been made in the terminal automation system to pick up online density and temperature from the loading header to be printed on the invoice. Installation of online densitometers ensures TT-wise density to be picked up and printed on the invoice by the system. The net impact of all these embedded precautions is to ensure delivery of fuels to customers with absolute assurance of quality, unhampered by human errors and intervention. The invoice is generated automatically in the lock shed room through a handshake between the terminal automation system and the SAP, even as the TT completes loading in the TLF, cutting down the waiting time of TTs inside the terminal for the invoice, eliminating the potential safety hazard of detaining a filled truck inside the terminal. Earlier, post-filling and locking, the crew approached S&D with filling advice note with the signature of the loading officer for the invoice to be generated and signed by the S&D staff before the TT could move out of the TLF area. This not only led to delays, but was also a safety hazard. Thus, turnaround time of the TTs in the terminal from empty ins to filled outs have been reduced to 30 minutes with the obvious spin-off of satisfied customers. For stock accounting, sensors have been provided in the tanks to convey density and temperature of the product at predefined intervals to the tank farm management system, which through integration is passed on to SAP. Earlier, all storage tanks were gauged manually and gauge books prepared manually. With the calibration charts of the tanks loaded onto it, SAP goes on to ensure error-free accounting and further preparation of AC2A. Earlier, stocks calculated manually using storage tank calibration charts for further accounting, including AC2A generation. ROCAR is generated through picking up opening dips from the system and the day's product-wise releases from SAP to arrive at the physical and book balancing of stocks. Earlier, operated tanks were physically gauged and the ROCAR prepared manually. Summing up, the key benefits flowing out of the smart terminals include faster turnaround time of TTs with just 2 human touchpoints, security and lock rooms, down from the previous 8 human touchpoints in the manual system, avoidance of TT crowding and congestion around the location, sparing the S&D officers from the mundane scheduling chores to assume a more customer-supportive role, optimization of fleet with improved RTKM, reduced operating cost through benchmarked manpower, absolute focus on safety and reduced breakdowns and interruptions due to a systems and maintenance-centric format rather than an operation-centric format. Across the terminals, safety takes paramount priority and related facilities developed in compliance with the MB Lal Committee guidelines effectively integrate into the terminal automation system, providing a robust safety environment. The tank farm management system is equipped with radar level gauges for precision gauging, and the storage tanks have multi-level fill warning systems of high, double high and triple high alarms. Despite this, if the product level touches the point of ultimate tolerance, the automatic overfill protection system takes over and shuts off the inlet valves remotely, effectively preempting tank overflows. While pneumatically and remote-operated shut-off valves on the tank body and double-block bleed valves control the flow of fuels in the storage tank, hydrocarbon detection systems track any minor leakage in the A-class tank farms. The remote-operated, high-volume, long-range water foam monitors are provided at key points in the tank farms, along with medium-expansion foam generators. The new bladder-type foam tank ensures more effective blending of foam-water mixture to be delivered to the foam pourer in the storage tanks. 6 emergency shutdown switches are located across the terminal in critical zones to be activated in case of emergencies. Pressing these switches set off a number of actions simultaneously, including starting a siren, lifting the barricades across the location to allow free movement of vehicles and personnel, remote closure of valves on the delivery tanks, stoppage of delivery pumps and closure of digital control valves at the TLF. 2 minutes after initiating these steps, the system physically shuts down power supply to all these equipments while sustaining the supply to high-mast lighting, control room, motor-operated valves of the hydrant system, tube wells and administrative blocks. In effect, the system tracks every possible cause of a disaster and preemptively averts it. With over 29 manual call points, 5 flame-proof paging systems and 11 public address systems provided across the location. In normal as well as times of emergency, when you have to talk, you don't have to walk. 40 cameras installed across the location sweep every part of the terminal and convey online streaming visuals on LED screens to critical points in the terminal. Abundant systemic care is taken around the terminal to ensure vapors do not escape into the atmosphere, preempting one of the major causes of fire. The vapor generated while filling TTs is drawn through built-in vapor recovery lines in the TT to a vapor recovery system, which blends it with MS droplets sprinkled down a tower to be pushed back into the delivery tank, closing the vapor loop. TT filling becomes a lot safer in the smart terminal, with all the bays in the TLF equipped to handle bottom filling, cutting out the possibilities of static-related mishaps. Product pumps with automated variable frequency drives coupled with pump sequencing ensures seamless pressure control in the TT filling line synchronized to the number of TTs at the bays, while overfill detection system in the TT prevents the possibility of product overflows while filling. The pneumatic manifold valves arrest spillage to a large extent, keeping the TLF a much cleaner and safer place. The high-level automation requires high-quality maintenance, for which a maintenance cadre has been created and are being trained through equipment vendors and in-house and vendor experts. Annual maintenance contracts with OEMs have been entered into for the equipment to be maintained in the best working condition during their maximum productive cycle. An equipment obsolescence policy has been released to ensure upgradation of the system at regular intervals with the latest technology to meet market expectations. At an occupational level, the smart terminals will provide a challenging and engaging professional ecosystem for the young engineers and technically qualified staff, enriching their profiles while keeping them away from being bogged down in routine work. The smart terminal, which personifies the pioneering spirit of Indian Oil to tap in-house resources to accomplish industry-first credentials, is just the beginning, and the best is yet to come.